Oracle cards. Do you just love them? Aren't they just amazing? Have they just enthralled you with the magic, the mystery, and the whole world that is Oracle cards? The artwork, the different decks, the amazing creators, Oracle card deck creators. It is a whole world, and yet it can be a little bit mystifying and a little bit confusing. And you could have just put those cards back on the shelf and thought, I'll get to that later. You know, perhaps thinking along the way you're going to somehow learn. Well, I want you to go and get those cards and I want you to pull them off the shelf and I want you to stay and watch this video with me because I'm your host, Kylie Savage Psychic, and this Conversations with Kylie is all about Oracle cards. More specifically, answering 3 questions from a lovely volunteer. I'm going to show you how to get started with your cards, and I'm going to tell you about some other resources I have and an exciting opportunity you can have to work with me live. And all we're going to do is play with our Oracle cards. So, if you've already been reading and your Oracle card practice is established, that's great. Still watch along. You might pick up some more tips and tricks. You might just enjoy a conversation about a topic that you love. And if you're really, really new to it, then don't be scared, okay? You're in good hands. I'm going to break this down for you and more to the point, I'm going to open up a conversation so that you and I can um, chat about where you're at with your Oracle card reading practice and what you might need to move ahead. So, I want to let you know that you are in expert hands. I've been reading Oracle cards for well over 10 years, and I started with, I'll show you, my very first deck, The Wisdom of Avalon by Colette Baron Reid. And I was down in MacArthur Square, for those of you who know it, shout out to Campbelltown, and QBD Books. And they have a great selection of oracle cards and spiritual books and all the rest. So I was standing there and I was looking at the decks, and this card deck just kept drawing me to it. You know, you can only see the spines, but I picked it up, I had a read, and I'm not sure if it was the artwork, the deck itself, or when I read Colette's name. I do have an interest in Celtic things, but for whatever reason, that deck spoke to me more than the others there that day. I know to trust my intuition, so I picked the deck. Now, I have a great video that you can watch when we get to the end of this, which is called How to Choose an Oracle Card Deck, or What Deck's Right for You. Not sure what it's called. I'll put it on the end screen if I'm getting clever enough to do that. And if you're not sure you can't find it, let me know and I'll send it to you. Because there are a number of questions that people have when they first start getting interested in Oracle cards. And it can be like, do I go down the Oracle card path or do I dive in and read the tarot? And I want to let you know you can do both. And you can even do something that's called a oracle readings, which is a tarot and oracle card deck reading. And if you go back and look at my weekly oracle card readings, you'll see where I've mixed up to 3 decks. Sometimes even 4. I never usually do more than a 6-card reading, but you'll be able to see how I've mixed them in. And I want you to go back after you've watched this video, and maybe the other video, and have a look at my readings and how I do them and how I structure them. Because just watching my readings over and over and even grabbing the question and doing your own readings and, you know, email it to me, message it to me if you want feedback, or come and join my groups and my community and let's engage. You can even send, as you said, send me an email, send me a photo and the question, and let me know how you went with your reading. Um, there, you know, the main thing is really practice, and I'll probably go over and over all the ways that you can work with me and I can assist and support you to develop this practice. And I call it my Oracle card reading practice because even though I've now started calling myself an Oracle card expert, which I am still practicing. It's a practice. It's something that I come back to time and time again, and it improves over time. And let me tell you, today is a great day to start your Oracle card reading practice because over time, your practice is going to evolve and grow as you do. and it's going to change, and that's exciting. So, whatever you're feeling right now or thinking about your oracle card reading practice, I want you to know that that is not going to be um, where you're going to stay along this journey. You're going to move forward and progress. And there's a few things that are really going to help you to do that and to do it quickly and to have a lot of fun along the way. Okay, so I'm going to say, first of all, thank you to Pillar who volunteered. Pillar came along to one of my events and asked me some questions, so I pulled them out of the chat. I got in touch with her and asked her if I could share them for this conversation. So thank you, Pillar. Okay, so Pillar's first question is, how do I best begin getting to know a new deck? Now, this is great. And listen up, if you've already been reading decks, you have a familiar deck, one that you love. Like you said, this was my first deck and I have stuck with it. It's still my go-to deck for reading with clients. Okay, so if you've already got a deck that you're familiar with, that's great because I'm going to talk about that as well. But if you have a brand new deck, there's a few things that you need to do to connect with your deck. Wish I had those, clever video things. Could pop up a blurb that says connect with the deck. Okay, so what you want to do is connect with the deck. So you found your deck, you've intuitively been led to the deck in whatever way, and you found the deck. Oh dear. Sorry, computer hiccups. Just wondering why my screen was flashing. You found the deck and now you need to connect with it. So what you want to do is, first of all, find out who it's by, because what's really important is the Oracle card deck creator, your spiritual path and journey and your Oracle card reading practice is going to evolve with the creators, because they have channeled this wisdom into this deck and these cards, and they've set it all out for you in the guidebook. So they've done a lot of the hard work, the foundational work, for you to be able to be springboarded along in your spiritual practice by reading from their deck. So you want to go and do your research. Who is this creator? How many decks have they created? What are the themes that they discuss in their decks? What archetypes are there? What is this creator's background? What have they studied? Where have they worked? What is their philosophy? Because that is going to come through in the decks. It's going to flavor them, and you're going to be influenced by that, or at least have the choice to do that. And it's really important to keep this open mind when you're working with a new deck. So investigate who it is that created the deck. And then, you can also see too, if they've created new decks, where might you want to go next? And I would suggest staying with the same creator. You can just get lost. There are so many decks out there, but stay with the same creator and explore their world, explore their decks before you move on to a new creator. Really absorb and integrate and consolidate that creator's teachings before you move on. And you may find you never have to move on. I think it's a good idea to, explore. But for me, like, I just keep coming back to Colette's teachings, and that's been over 10 years. She has not let me down. We have fallouts occasionally, not personally, just wherever I'm at in the journey, that's normal. And things change. Yet that's where I'm at. So when you familiarize your deck, you're going to take it out of the wrapping. You've filmed your unboxing video and all the rest of it. You've taken it out of the paper. I want you to do a cleansing ritual. So actually, Denise Lim was fantastic. She had heaps of ideas about cleansing recently. But go through the cards. This is the easiest way. Separate them all, give them a really good shuffle. Usually they're really stuck together, so pull them all apart, spread them all out, and then shuffle the crap out of them. And do lots of tapping, because what tapping does is it clears the deck. So once you've done that, you can even put the deck there, but I like to put it to my heart. And I just like to breathe into it. And then I like to do a little ritual and a prayer. So I might use incense, smoke the cards, put them around, smoke the cards, smoke get the smoke to cleanse the cards, that sort of thing. Smoke yourself, cleanse yourself, all that. Be nice and grounded and centered and breathe. So breathe in, connect with the deck, and say something like, Dear Spirit, I thank you for this opportunity to connect with this wisdom or the wisdom contained in this deck. I appreciate and send blessings and thanks and gratitude towards the creator of the deck and everyone that was involved in the making of this deck to get it into my hands. I ask that I always be connected and working with the very best and highest energies available so that I may translate and take in the very best messages, wisdom, and guidance for myself and for others, for the very my own best and highest good and the best and highest good of all. I ask that I can connect with this deck and I can connect with its wisdom, its messages, its teachings very, very clearly, and that they always be used for the highest good. And so it is. Tap it again. And off you go. Now, this should say keep shuffling because the deck's going to be super sticky. I wouldn't recommend using your brand new deck for a reading straight off. I've seen Colette do that, but I mean, I think that's a bit different because she created them. Because your deck's going to be sticky and the guidebook might even be a bit stiff, so you want to get that. And that's the next thing. Go to your guidebook and have a look. When you're reading, this is something that I got hung up on, and I don't know why. I think because I'm not getting the right sort of help in the first place. There's this kind of idea that you're just going to get the deck and you're just going to pull the cards and you're just going to understand what the deck's about, the messages. Bullshit. Okay, that's not what's going to happen. You're going to learn this deck over time. I'm still learning the meanings for this deck, and that's 10 plus years. So don't give yourself a hard time. The guidebooks are really important. Look how thick this is. This is packed full of the wisdom and the teaching of the deck. The deck, the wisdom that was channeled and translated by the Oracle card deck creator. This, you're looking at a partnership between the creator and spirit and the whole team that made this deck possible. The illustrator, everyone, everything comes back to spirit. So go into the guidebook and have a look, and you will see in the beginning really good contents pages. Don't know if you can see that. Okay, there's an introduction. I always read that. And then it will say how to use the cards. So these decks have already set out how to get you started in your Oracle card reading practice. The very next thing I would do would be to get yourself an Oracle card journal, just a big notebook, and set that out and make sure you date every entry. So I like to write the date, the card, the question, the card, and my reading and my reflection on it, whatever I'm doing. So if you keep journals with your Oracle card reading practice, you're going to have all that data. You're going to have stuff to reflect on. You won't ever have to run around and go, oh my God, where was my notes on that deck? It'll all be in your journal. So go into the guidebook and then have a play. So they will have, look, it's got 3 card readings. Start with, I'd start with a 1 card reading. There's a 1 card reading. Not sure if you can see that. Then it's got the 3 card reading, then a 6 card reading. Try to keep it simple. So have a look through the guidebook and just start playing with your cards. You're shuffling. And then what I would do is pull 1 card. So you've done your opening up ritual. I have a little thing where I go through a gateway. And then I'm like, I ask to connect with the best and highest energies for the best and highest good, receive the best and highest messages, guidance, and wisdom. Sorry, for the best and highest good. Okay, so I'm in that sanctified, cleared, cleansed space. I've set my intention. This is why I'm doing this work, to connect with spirit, the highest energy. So pull a card, any card, and before you look at that card, have it turned over and just sit it down in front of you and then just write in your notebook. Write whatever comes. Just trust whatever comes. If nothing comes, just scribble. Just do lines. And then turn the card over and then say the first 3 things that come to mind. So your intuitive hit straight off the card, the card, as soon as you turn it over, you're going to say 3 things. So dry desert. So You could say things like thirsty, cactus, lost. Write those things down. Then sit with a card, and then I have a one card reading practice, which I'm going to dive into. I'll tell you how to get that. So I have a practice that I follow. But look, just do that. If you just do that first thing, that will familiarize you with the deck. And then some people like to go through, turn the cards over this way, and have a look and touch every single card. Go through, have a look, maybe write down what the card is and one word that jumps out to you, not the word that's on the card. Metamorphosis, so change, butterflies, freedom, growth, things like that. Just go through and just breathe it in, have a look. If that's too much for you, split the deck up into 3 and have a go that way. And if you've written down what cards you've looked at, then you won't be going over and over it. But mainly that's the thing, is familiarizing yourself and be playful. The other thing is, whenever you're working with your oracle cards, you never want to overwork. This is really important for your intuition, especially when you're beginning, is you never want to overdo it and overwork it. Because once you overwork things, you'll be back into your logical mind and your intuition won't even get a look in. And because your agenda, your intention will have been overridden by your agenda, which is, I need to be really good oracle cards, so I need to book the next psychic fair, and I need to be there doing readings. I need to have a line of 50 people at my stall. So don't overdo it. Pace yourself. Be playful. Be open and curious. Your mindset that you're developing, the mindset you're developing when you engaging in your oracle card practice is so important. This is all about how you connect with spirit and what that looks like day to day. So be playful, and it's better, set yourself a timer and just do even 5 minutes, a day, or here, wherever you're going to get it. It's good if you schedule it out. I think 5 minutes a day. I'm going to pick those cards up, maybe do that, chop it into 3 lots and just start looking at those cards. And then, if you have a process like I do, follow your process and keep shuffling them and touching the cards and holding the cards and holding the deck. You can go over and over that ritual that you did, practicing. As you said, you can't get this stuff wrong, but there's a way to get it right faster. Okay. So the second question is, anyway, let me know, Pillar, and let me know in the comments too if I've answered that question, if that really does help you familiarize yourself with a new deck. Okay, what do you do in a card? Sorry. Now I have to grab these cards again. So the next question is, what do you do when a card in a reading is reversed? So what we mean by reversed is, so this was Spirit of Home, Spirit of Place, sorry. Should know this. I was thinking about this card today because when I was doing journaling with oracle cards, it just kept coming up. Okay, so when it comes out reversed. Now, in the enchanted map, the cards do reverse. And what Colette calls them, look, I think she really teaches this the very best way. When cards are in reverse in Colette's deck, they're either called challenges, or they're in protection, or it's alignment. And there's only about there's only a few decks that she has that don't reverse. Now look, Wisdom of the Oracle, which I was going to grab, these cards can be read up to 5 ways. So upright, reversed, and then it's a relationship, a prosperity, what is it? I'll just have to look it up because it's been so long. Relationship, prosperity, and something else. I think it's 5 ways they can be read. Oh, what a mess. Here you go. Essential meanings, relationship, prosperity, and reversed. So yeah, upright, essential meanings, relationship, prosperity, and reverse. Or she calls them, so she says that the decks, the card, slow down, is in protection. And look at the guidebook on that one. super thick. Okay. When I read for those with clients, if we're on Zoom or whatever, or even face to face, I will get the message, I will get intuitively check in, I'll get the message. Sometimes I'll write down a few words of what I think the message is or what I'm getting it as. And then I'll just say to the client, I hope you don't mind. I just want to check, especially if cards come out in protection. I just want to check and make sure, okay, fate's in protection. It's difficult to understand why painful things happen to good people. Fate is a mystery after all. Okay, and I'll just go, yep, I'm on the right track. Because it's like the message that I'm already receiving from spirit is kind of there. I kind of put it on pause and then I check in and have a look. And I don't think there's a problem with that. That doesn't say anything about my practice. Actually, it says it's really smart because I want to make sure that my client walks out the door with the best information I can deliver for them. And Colette's put the best information in the guidebook. So I do teach people to read the guidebook, but I teach them to read it at a certain point in the process. And that's really key. Okay, so going back, I will have a look. Say if I know what spirit of place is for me, upright, when I'm looking at the card reversed or in protection, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the exact opposite. Now look, this is why people freak out about cards in protection. Is in tarot, when you're reading tarot, what will happen is you will pull out a card from tarot, and when you get it in protection, it is almost the exact opposite meaning of the card upright. And it's dire. Like, that's why a lot of people don't like the medieval things. I've got these bugs again. I'm going to have to try and get rid of them. Keep going across my screen. I think they like the extra light. Get away, bugs. Ah, see? Filming from home. That's what it's all about. Okay, so say, oh, there you go. We got Hanged Man, and he actually came out upside down. So when you have Hanged Man upright, he means a certain thing. It means suspension, pause. I say it's feeling ungrounded in your life, but essentially it means you're going nowhere. And then maybe there is some action to take, but sometimes that pause, Spirit is saying, we want you to pause because it's a protective thing. But when you see Hanged Man and he's reversed, it means like the exact opposite, and it has this kind of dire, edge to it, which can be really frightening. And then what's happened is all these people are, more familiar with tarot cards, and they've read the tarot and they've read the tarot reverse. I'm talking about the Rider-Waite deck, which is, a translation of really ancient tarot. They read it in reverse. They're like, oh my God, we know this is really bad. And, you read the guidebook, it's like, that's what put me off, reading tarot. That's why I moved into oracle cards. I can read tarot now because I read it differently and I understand I don't have to go with that meaning that's coming up. But tarot it does have a different energy to oracle cards. So people have built up this fear of reversed cards. But what Colette says is that when you get cards in protection, what it is, it's not as good as getting the message upright. It's not as positive a message. But what it's saying is, okay, especially if you get a reading and there's lots of cards reversed, what Colette says is the cards in protection are asking you to course correct. So if Spirit's navigating you through a certain trial, whatever you ask a question about or whatever your energy is at that point in time, whatever's the most pressing issue, Spirit is saying, okay, we know you want to go over here, but this is what's actually happening. This is where your energy is at. You're going to need to change these things, course correct, maybe come at something in a different way or let go of it in the form that you want it to show up in. And then things will smooth out. So when you've done a reading and you get a lot of cards reversed, take note of that and then reflect on, okay, well, what if Spirit is trying to protect me from something? What if they're saying, yes, it's okay if you want to move in this direction, but the way you're doing it is not so great. It's not going to get you there in good shape. It's not going to get you there in the time that you want to get there. So pay attention to those messages. Go into the guidebook. What does the protection message say? And just say, okay, it's extra love and healing and attention from spirit to get you back on the right course. So then do that reading. Don't, don't keep reading. Then use the same question. Maybe you've made some changes in your life in a month to three, down to 3 months. Do that same reading again and see what cards you pull out and see if they're upright, because that means I did course correct. Yeah, and check in with how you feel. Are you feeling better about that? But please don't be afraid when you get reverse cards. And the other question was like, what do you do when the cards are reversed? You read it reversed. That's very important. So a lot of cards have two messages, and you think, why do people have reversed cards in their decks? Because they don't have to. This deck, which I really love, no reverse cards. So love that. Keep it simple when you're starting out. That's one of my biggest tips. Keep it simple. So why do they reverse? Why does this have up to 5 meanings? And it's a, huge deck. I mean, look at the size of that. Like, it's huge. um, because you can. Just like in tarot, you can have the reverse. So you can have 2 meanings for every card. I mean, why would you not? So you can have up to 5 meanings for each card. I think it becomes too complex and confusing myself. Personally, I don't really like that. I can handle a card being read, but 2 ways, and that's enough for me. Because when you move on from a one card reading and you're into spreads, different cards interact with each other differently. So different card combos mean different things, and different card trilogies and quadruples, would you say quadrants? I'm not sure. Anyway, they mean different things. Quartets. There you go. Is it quartets? Someone correct me. All right. I trust that answers your question, but let me know if it does. Main thing is, don't be scared. Don't be afraid. See it as the reverse cards also add a layer of complexity and extra meaning, so you actually get more value out of your deck. And because we know in life we're not always working things in the positive, sometimes we are working them in the negative, and that's okay because we're facing a challenge. And we may need that extra love and support to course correct and navigate and get back on the path that we want to be on and that our soul is here to lead, to travel on. Oh dear, trust I'm making sense here. Let me know in the comments if it's making sense, and if as I'm talking you've got other questions popping up, please write them down, even pop them in the comments. And if it's okay with you, let me grab them so I can do some more how-to videos and respond to your questions. That's how we learn. We've got to ask questions, and I'm never going to judge you or anything like that. When I was starting out, I really wished that I'd had more support and assistance around this stuff. Okay, our last question is, how do you gain confidence in your readings? Oh, Pillar. This is huge. And if you can relate to this question, then please listen up and know you are not alone. So, how do you gain confidence with your readings? I'm going to circle right back to the start. I'm going to say what you're doing is developing an oracle card reading practice. And I really would like for you to get that word stuck in your head. Practice. When we're looking for progress, not perfection. And this is a practice. This is something that you come back to, you return to, day after day, and you improve over time. And it really depends on what deck you're reading from, what your process is, how are you learning how to read that deck, and you like where you're at in your spiritual journey. And the other thing is your intention. Why are you reading the cards? Are you reading them for your own spiritual growth and development? Are you reading them for like mental health support, that sort of thing? Are you reading them to become a professional psychic and oracle card reader yourself? See, it really depends. Or are you reading them, just because it's fun, or you're running women's circles and it's part of the mandala when you set up, you have oracle cards. Are you reading them, to support your understanding of wisdom and a higher power and all that kind of stuff? Are you just reading them because it's something you do with your friends? See, way back when, before I bought that Wisdom of the Avalon deck, my introduction to tarot and to oracle cards really was the Love Tarot. And my girlfriend and I, and really, I've got to thank her for this, she had this deck, and our ritual was getting a bottle of red wine, a huge block of chocolate, playing Trisha Yearwood on our CD player, and pulling love tarot cards. It was more like an oracle card deck. It wasn't proper tarot, but it was called the Love Tarot. I think it was. Anyway, and yeah, we'd ask the cards questions and then reminisce about our love lives and where we were at with things and with life in general. And you know what? Even just doing that, not understanding how to connect with spirit and all that, and just making it fun and having our ritual with our wine and our chocolate, we really did gain a lot of wisdom. Those cards really spoke to where we were at, and we were just reading the guidebook. We weren't really checking in with our intuition except for when we were thinking about, okay, well, what does this apply to? And we were making all the same mistakes, that you do when you come to something like this and you're brand new. You know, trying to sort of understand the reading in the context of the question that we'd asked, not asking great questions, asking yes or no closed questions instead of open ones, that kind of thing. But we were having fun with it. And then what happened was when I ended up hiring up my the first room to read out of to be a professional psychic. And I was using people's date of birth to connecting with their energy and, just seeing what people came to me for. And I was just delivering a message, whatever message I got from spirit. And then I did notice other people had cards and I'd seen cards before and I knew about this love tarot. So I knew that the cards were accurate. Cards could deliver a good message. And I just decided, it was something that was really calling me. I just decided to have a go and buy those cards and have a play. And I did. And I started reading with them straight off. And when I get a brand new deck, I do read with them straight off as well. Because, I have a blending technique. So then what happened was I had the person's name, their first name, their date of birth, and then I would ask them their questions. So I started to get better at asking questions over time, creating and crafting a really great question because that's a foundational piece of your reading. The better the question, the better response spirit can give you. And then what happened was I was pulling cards and I would start with one card and it was a very intuitive process. And then you go along in this journey and you go from, thinking that you don't know much and really relying on your connection with spirit and intuition. Then you go to learning more about the cards and what they actually mean. That kind of sets you aside from your intuition a bit, like you always set your intuition aside a bit. And then you circle back to you marry the two, your understanding of the deck and your intuition and how that's been fine tuned because the decks are a tool for your spiritual growth and development and your intuition. And the thing that you need to rely on, the most is your intuition, but it's being channeled through the deck. That's why I go back to it. It's very important what deck you read from and who created it because you are evolving and growing and your intuition is being honed along the lines of that deck creators. That's the wisdom that you're adopting and following. Okay, so there was something I said in that. Oh, this is what it is. Going back, I just want to say that, okay, so I bought this deck and this was my first deck. What I did was I marry the new deck to this deck. So I split the cards up and I'll say I'm going to do a 4-card reading. I'll pull 2 cards from this. So I've got my anchor card and my next action card from this deck, and then I will go to the map and I'll pull 2 cards, and it will be my future possible outcome card, and my details card will come from that, and I'll just have a play. The other thing I like to do is always have a deck that has guides, angels, or goddesses, because I like to pull a 6th card, which is more for me than my client. Say you have a walk-in client, what happens is you may not see that person again. Even if you get their details and you get to follow up with them, you may not see them again. And they might have come to you with a very, a big issue and challenge that they're facing. And I worry about people. I care about them. I care about them too much sometimes. And I don't want that person to walk out the door and I'll never know, and I don't know what other support they're going to get and I'll never know what may happen. So what I do is I pull the guide card, the 6th card, and what I say is this is the energy that is going to stay with you and work with you until this challenge is resolved, until you've, found a solution and you've moved into a better place. So I feel like I'm handing the client over to that higher energy, and that I can feel better about it and let them go and let the reading go, and they can feel good that they're in safe hands. So that's just it. Reading for over 10 years, there's so many tips and tricks and practices and processes I have. But that's one thing. If you want to familiarize yourself with a new deck, marry it with a deck you're already familiar with. That's probably my best tip, as well as those ones I gave before. Okay, so I'll just check that I covered everything. Make sure you cleanse and clear your decks in between when you're playing. That's always good. You're going to do things like, if you haven't cleansed and cleared them properly, you're going to keep pulling out the same card, which sometimes that happens anyway, and that happens for a reason. Okay, keep the journal. That's great. But probably, coming back to this point is I'm someone who can take a lot of risks. I'm a realistic optimist. I'm an Aries. I'm an Aries sun. So I'm used to taking risks and being playful and childlike. I'm also a Gemini rising, so I'm all about expression and communication. I love writing, love written forms. I'm a lifelong learner, love books, love new stuff, just cannot get enough. And I love things that are really deep and complex and intricate. And, at the same time, I do love simple things I can just absorb in a moment. So it was pretty easy for me to begin my Oracle card journey and begin doing professional card readings. When I look back, I'm so glad I kept records, because my readings today are on such a different level to what they were back then. And the things that, I might get, I got hooked up on or stuck on back then, don't happen to me now. Or if they do happen, I'm so, much more quick to go, oh, okay, I realize what I've done. I haven't shuffled my cards correctly. And I've been doing group readings and fairs and things like that. So, pardon me, I have enough of an idea of what might be happening with the cards, with that group of people, the common themes, all that sort of stuff. And it doesn't get in the way of me continuing and, delivering more readings to more people. So, the thing that I really would have liked to do, and I did this with my psychic development and my mediumship, but I didn't think to do it with my oracle card reading, because I'm so independent as well. And if I feel like I've got something, and I've got a fantastic team and spirit, if I feel like I've got something, I'll just rock and roll. But I wish that I had got in touch with people and learnt card reading with them. I did go and do a very basic course with Colette. So that was great. And yeah, I wished I'd had people to play the cards with and learn more from them. I have picked up things over time, and the main thing is practicing and doing readings. That's been the great teacher. Anyway, if that sounds like, you're relating to some of the things I shared today, and if you're still, fairly new in your practice, or you're moving along but you're coming up against, a few things I've talked about, or maybe something different. If you're interested, what I created is a get together. It's called Cuppa and Cards Catch Up, and we do it once a month. It's 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'm Sydney, Australia, so because we have different time zones in Australia. And it's free for your first visit, and then it's $22 Australian for your next catch up. And we get together on Zoom, we meditate, and then we'll have a practical activity. We'll do our readings, and then we come back and we care and share. And you can ask me questions, and it can really boost your practice to share with like minded people and to sit in that safe, supportive space, and to be able, to share where you're at and what's happening for you is fantastic. The other thing is your practice gets a boost. If you do any kind of work with me, you're working with, you're relying on and working in the energies that I provide for a foundation. And that's my connection with spirit, which is, almost 20 years of working consciously and creatively with spirit. So your readings, your intuition gets like a boost. It gets a springboard, because you're benefiting from that connection that I have and the space that I set up. The other thing you can do is come and join us in Kylie's Cubby. That's my free Facebook group. And we're going to do a 7 days more psychic challenge that is coming up so soon, and I'm so excited. It's a lot of channeled meditations and practical exercises, lots of Q&A, lots of interaction, and probably some recorded video so you can come back and watch the replays. And once we've done that challenge and we're settling in, I will do one called Improve Your Oracle Card Reading Practice. And if you just can't wait and you're not really a group person, then you can go over to my website and book the Improve Your Oracle Card Reading Practice. And what we do is we meet on Zoom for 3 sessions. We look at where you're at with your practice and how we can improve it. And if you need ongoing sessions, I offer them at a discounted rate. So yeah, let me know. This has been fun. This has been a Conversations with Kylie all about Oracle card reading, our Oracle card reading practice and Oracle cards. I could talk about Oracle cards until I was blue in the face. I really, really could. But anyway, I'm going to end with pulling a card for us. So I'm going to say, how can we best take the information in this video, what I've just translated to you? Oh, I picked up the wrong deck. It's all mixed up. Actually, I'll go with that one. How can we best take in the information in this video, in this conversation, and allow it to move us forward in our Oracle card reading practice? There you go. See? Making up questions on the fly. That's what you get. That's mastery, okay? That takes a lot of practice, a lot of effort. And I'm a wordsmith, word witch. Words are my thing. So how can we best take in the information in this video, in this conversation, and let it assist and support us to move forward in our Oracle card reading practice? Thank you, wisdom. I really do love Wisdom of Avalon. Okay, so I just shuffled, put my deck in my left hand, and I cut it 3 times because 3 is my power number. We got the frog. Okay, I'm going to be talking about this in the 7 days more psychic challenge, is the frog, if I can get the light off it. So the frog is, first off, he's a bit of an emotional flood, but this is a declutter. So what we're saying in the context of this question is, if you're feeling really like a lot of emotions around your Oracle card reading practice, and you're feeling a lot of fear and you're just not sure where to start, probably the best thing to do is reach out and just say hello to me, Messenger, or put it in the comments and say, yep, I got those Oracle cards, Kylie, and I stuck them on the shelf because I'm just shit scared. I'm just too afraid to pick them up. I'm really afraid to get it wrong. And I want to encourage you that you're developing an Oracle card reading practice, and it's about play. If you make your practice play-based, there are no mistakes in play. And the thing is, you can wait. There's no rules. No one's going to, stand over your head and say, you must be doing rings by the end of this month and you must be charging for them and all the rest. No, you get to decide. You get to structure your play and, set yourself little goals and have intentions for it. So the thing is, when we're in a highly emotional state, it's going to get in the way of our intuition, because we need to be in those higher order thinking skills. We need to be out of fight or flight to be intuitive for the most part. Your intuition does still work if you're in a panic mode. If your life's in danger, it will work, trust me. But this is, cleaning house, releasing emotional baggage. So the thing is, clean your cards. That's it. Declutter your space. Set yourself up in a nice space to do your readings. Get your notebook. Have that all sorted out. Set out and just set yourself a goal. Say I'm going to read my cards 5 minutes a day. I'm going to pull one card from one deck each day, and I'm just going to write those first 3 things that I get from it. So what I'm getting is order. Let's have some structure and some order to our play. And let's not overthink and overfeel it. When we're highly sensitive, emotional, tuned in beings, our feelings are something, our big, big feelings are something we need to navigate with our spiritual development and with our Oracle card reading practice. So cleanse those cards. Think about how you want to structure your Oracle card reading practice. Try not to overthink it. Let's have some fun. Don't overdo it. Set yourself some boundaries, some limits. Set yourself up in a safe container, a teeny tiny container. And let's just process those emotions the best we can. And if you're feeling really big feelings and you're in too much of an emotional state, it's not the time to go to your cards. Excuse me. You might need to do some tapping, some meditation, something like that. Go for a walk and then come back. We get much further ahead in life through love, not force. Okay, so I'm Kylie Savage Psychic. This has been a conversation with Kylie about oracle cards. I may have already said this. Please get in touch with me. I would love to hear from you, and I need your questions. Let's keep going with this. Um, Take excellent care of you and have fun with your oracle cards.